Let's now go to interview and history taking strategies. Let's discuss social history part 2. For diet, time limitations usually preclude eliciting a comprehensive diet history during the initial health history. Unless management of the patient requires immediate dietary intervention, the patient can be asked to keep a record of food and beverage intake for a typical week, not during vacation or over a holiday. Less extensive diet histories often grossly misrepresent the patient's usual dietary practices and do not facilitate effective clinical management. Ask the patient to record the date, time, type, and the amount of food and beverage consumed. Important additional information to be recorded includes cultural or religious practices that influence dietary practices, specific quantities. Examples: did the patient have a 6-ounce cup of coffee or 16-ounce mug? How food was prepared? Was it broiled, fried, baked, or prepared some other way? Was it prepared at home or purchased commercially? The use of salt in the preparation or addition as a seasoning. The use of oil. Was oil used in preparing the food? If yes, specific type. Some oils are very high in saturated fat and trans fatty acids. For the type of beverages you consume, note whether they are caffeinated, alcoholic, or artificially sweetened. If at all possible, ask the patient to return the completed diet history to your practice site before the next visit so that you may review it. If the appropriate patient privacy and confidentiality health information safeguards are in place at your institution, you may be able to receive this information in electronic form. One more caveat: dietary practices are influenced by many factors. Some are obvious, as with socioeconomic status. Others are more subtle, as is often the case with many elderly patients living alone. They may have the means to purchase and prepare an adequate diet, but because of loneliness, may not do so. Eating is a social experience for most people, and elderly patients living alone in particular are at risk for nutritional deficiencies. For exercise, note intensity, duration, and frequency, which factors influence the patient's participation or non-participation in regular aerobic exercises like work, homemaking, childcare responsibilities, access to safe recreational areas, or physical limitations such as obesity, arthritis, or angina. Note sleep. Note the usual number of hours per 24-hour period. Does the patient engage in rotating shift work, which can alter sleep-wake patterns? Does she or he experience difficulty falling or staying asleep? Does she or he consume anything before retiring that may interfere with sleep, such as caffeinated beverages, chocolate, or diuretics? Is there any evidence of sleep apnea, such as snoring, excessive daytime sleepiness, or feeling fatigue upon awakening? Is the patient awakened from sleep by pain or by the need to void? Lastly, for sexual history, traditionally, the sexual history has focused almost exclusively on assessing the patient's feelings about and satisfaction with his or her sexual performance. For example, it includes the number and type of partners, frequency of intercourse and other sexual practices, type and use of contraception, ability and to achieve and sustain an erection, ability to achieve orgasm, and overall satisfaction. These are important questions and allow for identification of treatable conditions such as erectile dysfunction. It is also useful to conceptualize sexuality as encompassing a broad range of expressions of intimacy and caring, such as holding, cuddling, and touching. Thank you for your attention.